when you're recognized as a great guitar player like you are by the media and by the internet, uh, is there anything you intentionally do or stay mindful of to sort of keep who you are and what you do separate? Because it would seem that if your self-esteem only rises and falls with the what you do part, it seems a little dangerous because you can't always control that. You know, you put out something, it's not as popular. It's not, you know, or it's not up to your standards. So is there anything, because you seem super like non-celebrity like oriented,
Yeah.
you know, what do you do to sort of keep yourself in, you know, in reality and not get caught up in uh, people liking
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
sort
that
of?
is a good question. And um, let's see, I guess. I think there's probably a part of my personality that does, like it when people like me, of course, like, um, it feels good, but
Sure.
I think at some point, I guess in the last several years anyway, just kind of got more like, didn't need that sort of validation, I guess. Um, yeah,
Good.
it's because, yeah, I guess when my career took off, it suddenly felt like, well, everybody loves me. Like, so millions and
Right,
millions of
right, right.
people love me all of a sudden. Oh my goodness. And that was a trip for sure. And I guess, you know, it may have messed with my mind a bit. I don't know. Like, to be totally honest with you, like, you might assume that everybody loves you or something, but it's like you might might cause issues with like your work, in some ways. Like, I think maybe I took it for granted or something, and there was maybe sometimes I got a little too lazy or something. Um, so I don't know. It's like you have to stay focused on the music, and the craft. What's the
Yeah.
point of making music? Is it just for approval, or is it because you want to say something? Uh, and the point of playing guitar too, and uh, there was certainly a period where, at least through like my teenage years and early 20s, it was like maybe the focus was like the guitar and like proficient and becoming good and becoming someone that everyone would think is really good at the guitar. But then at some point, it's like when I started to write music, actually, is kind of when it started. It was more like, well, I want to become good at writing a song, or telling a story with this thing, like Eric Johnson or like Michael Hedges, or it's not just that they can play real well, it's that they're telling a story, So that became my focus, really. Um, but I think when the YouTube thing took off and everyone was kind of, especially drifting, like was the big one. It was definitely the technique thing was unusual, and it was like a visual experience in YouTube.
Right.
And so that was one thing, but it was kind of funny because that was really the only tune I wrote where I was banging on the guitar so much and doing that percussive thing. But people thought that was what I did, like, but I had one song, and my arrangement of Africa, I was doing some percussive stuff on that too. But so I kind of wanted to say, well, that's not my only thing. There's For My Father, Rylan, all this other stuff, and Into the Ocean, other tunes where I
Yeah.
don't do percussion, at all. So, but I didn't want to just write another percussion tune and another one and another one, because that's what people expected from me. It was like I wanted to write music that I felt serious about, and that I it wasn't just thrown together for the hell of it or whatever, So, um, so yeah, I have felt a bit like the whole celebrity thing. I could have maybe chased it more, or tried to be putting stuff on Instagram or TikTok. I think I have 2 videos on there that I've just put up almost as a joke, because I think the platform's a joke. To be honest, I don't like it at all. Um, I think
when everybody, but you know what? All these young kids, and I hate to sound like an old man, but like my daughter will come, hey, Dad, I bought this supplement. I'm like, well, where'd you hear about it? TikTok. I'm like, there's no barrier to entry there. Like, I
That's
can get
right.
on there and talk about construction equipment, and I
Yeah,
know nothing
you're
about
right.
construction, but, like, I'm an authority. I'm like, you got to do some
You're right.
research on this, like,
Yeah,
you have the internet, look it
you talk
up,
so much conviction,
it's quite
that's
funny
all
on
you
there. I
need to
agree with
do,
you.
and
It's
then
like weird.
people will believe it. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
an
It's
expert.
so
Like,
like the kind of
right.
music that I like and that I like to write is a little more serious most of the time. A little more introspective, or so when you have these platforms that people are just like this, and you're like, why would I even want to put my music on there? It's just going to be scrolled through in a matter of seconds, and who cares? So it feels a bit like
Yeah.
the music is devalued on those kind of things, and um, I have a hard time fitting in on those platforms and seeing that makes sense. But so yeah, I know I've been rambling here a bit about celebrity and stuff.
No, it sounds like what you've done is you stayed focused on representing you, well, like what you want to put out there, communicating, expressing yourself. It sounds like that's how you've kept this, kept your stuff together, focusing on not how many people like it, but,
Yeah,
what you have to
yeah, that's always
say
going to be
musically,
the point,
which I think is
and
great.
that's I think sometimes that part is lost too on these days. The fact of creating stuff, a lot of the big guitar things that you might see on the social media stuff, or people playing other people's music, it's like the act of actually creating something and pulling it out of yourself and something new. People have kind of forgotten about that art form, I guess, yeah, with what's cool on social media.
Yeah. And you're super prolific too, which is not easy to crank out as much original material as you have in the time that you've done it. So, pat yourself on the kudos to you, man. Thanks. I appreciate you. These are not easy
Oh man,
questions,
I
and I
love
know
it,
that. So
dude.
I
I love
appreciate you answering
getting
them. Thank
serious
you
on
very
some of this
much.
stuff.